Tonight, a critical look at Governor Kathy Hochul's new zero-emission plan for cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. While many agree it's a win for the environment, there are big concerns it could leave some of our communities most in need behind. CBS 5's Allura Lagarde is in the studio with new information on this. Allura.
Michael, clean air vehicles are going to be better for those neighborhoods as it should reduce a lot of health problems that could come from car exhaust and air pollution. But some experts are also asking more practical questions, like how are these neighborhoods going to afford expensive electric vehicles? And could this environmental policy lead to an even greater economic gap between the haves and the have-nots?
We have to ask some serious questions about transition.
Governor Kathy Hochul's plan is to have all new cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks on the road be fully electric by 2035. Environmental studies expert Lemir Teron says this could benefit many disadvantaged communities, including people of color that have been heavily affected by greenhouse gases.
When you reduce particulate matters that are coming from cars, then these neighborhoods are going to have less air pollution consequently.
Teron and environmental economics professor David Popp says zero emission means no greenhouse gases being emitted from the tailpipes of trucks and cars.
The environmental benefits are likely to largely impact disadvantaged communities. If you think about, particularly for like tailpipe pollution.
Certainly anything that's going to reduce or ultimately end tailpipe emissions, that's going to be a win for many communities as you see less air pollution in local air sheds.
Hochul's plan can help alleviate some of the health issues that many have in these communities due to these toxic fuels. Hochul says it's time to have a better future.
Can you imagine what a different world we'd be in today with respect to our environment?
The governor says she understands the cost of electric cars are still high, but says they will provide $10 million to help purchasers minimize the cost. But Teron says that's not going to be enough.
A $40,000 or $50,000 car, even with a several $1,000s subsidy, these vehicles are going to be out of reach for a lot of households.
Pop says the upfront costs of the vehicles are more expensive, but they are cheaper to drive, which will benefit many in the long run.
Over the life of the vehicle, people are typically going to spend less because they're not spending money on fuel.
Teron says we might not see the price of cars go down quickly, but there are other alternatives.
We should also be thinking mindfully about designing communities so that we don't have to be so car-centric.
Teron says the key is to keep on asking questions regarding the transition period because without a solid plan for the middle and low-income communities and other disadvantaged groups, this will be a difficult process.
Good morning. I'm joined today by Lieutenant Malinowski with the Syracuse Police Department. Lieutenant Malinowski, thanks for being here today.
Good morning. Happy to be here as always.
So before Halloween, I feel like it's important to address drugs that look like candy, especially rainbow fentanyl that's been in the region. What is an important reminder for parents?
Yeah, so pretty scary stuff, this rainbow fentanyl. If you haven't heard of it, obviously fentanyl is a drug that's similar to heroin, but what some reports say 50 times stronger. So heroin's already a deadly drug. Fentanyl is that much worse. But the drug cartels down in Mexico, trying to market more towards our youth and children, have really designed the fentanyl now to look like candy. They come in various shapes, sizes, and super bright colors. So it's really something to be aware of, that if you see these type of drugs, they could be candy, but that's also now how these drug cartels are disguising this dangerous drug. So something to be weary of, especially with Halloween around the corner. And we'll probably touch on that as we get closer, but making sure that, we're inspecting our kids' candy. And again, if you see this candy on the ground in a neighborhood where there is known drug activity, please make sure you're not letting your children get near it, touch it, put the candy in their mouth, things like that, because one little dose of this stuff can be very deadly.
And also, there have been multiple changes with regards to gun laws in the state over the past few months. Where do things stand now, and how does it affect the way you police?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on with gun laws and gun crime. So right now, shockingly, there's been 142 people that have been struck or killed by gunfire in the city of Syracuse. And again, that number is shocking. That's 142, brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers that are getting affected by gun crime and all their families. We do see the state trying to make an impact, with some pretty strong gun laws. That some of those provisions were struck down recently by a federal judge. The one thing that the gun laws seem to do is really impact legal gun owners more than anything. What we'd really like to see is stronger things on the back end after an arrest has been made. Accountability. So when someone gets caught with a gun illegally, someone does a shooting, really having stronger punishments on that end, keeping these people away from us, keeping them locked up so then they're not committing more crime. But that's something as the police we would like to see from lawmakers is that accountability piece. If you cause harm to this community, you're going to go away. 5, 10, 20 years, doesn't matter. We can't continue to have this lack of accountability and letting violent people back on our streets because we're the ones that continue to get victimized.
And then lastly, I noticed your uniform looks a little bit different today, this morning. So would you tell us a little bit about what those pink badges are meant for?
Yeah, so it's not just us. Most law enforcement agencies here locally and across the country throwing on the pink badge for support of breast cancer awareness. Obviously, it's a top killer of women and men, but it's something to be aware of. So we do hope that you just see the pink badge and as a reminder to go get checked, make sure you're getting those annual checkups, going to talk to your doctor. And it's really about the awareness. Again, if we can prevent anyone from getting disease or catching it early enough to be treated and saved, that's kind of the goal. And we'll be wearing it for the month.
Sounds great. Well, Lieutenant Malinowski, thank you so much for joining me here this morning.